Hey Forge members, welcome to this tutorial Thursday. We are going to be talking about how to successfully apply for jobs. Now when we think about applying to jobs, a lot of the times our head goes straight to just googling the position we're looking for and simply clicking on the first link that pops up. Usually it'll be like an Indeed link or maybe a hired link, and we can see a whole big list of online applications. And what do? We sit there, we make a new resume for every single role or edit our old one and apply to every single one of those jobs to get no response at all. I'm going to show you how to fix that and a couple of really interesting ways of how you can get your foot in the door into the interview process. So like I said before, applying online just doesn't cut it. A lot of people love to sit there, edit their resume, edit a new cover letter for every single company and just send it out there only to receive no response at all. Now what we don't see is the fact that all these jobs get over 400 applications within the first week. A lot of the applicants aren't even from the same country, they don't have a degree, or they're not studying right now, or they might not even know programming. So for recruiters, it's a lot of work for them to sit through all 400 applications and manually test out which ones are right and which ones are wrong for the position. Therefore, what they actually do is they use a lot of automated scripts that will sift through all those resumes and throw the ones that don't match specific requirements in the garbage. Most of the times, that's what happens to your resume. So the first technique I want to talk to you about is called the shotgun approach. Applying online, obviously, you're still going to want to do it, but you're just not going to want to spend all your time doing it. You don't want it to be the only source of jobs you have coming in. So what you're going to do is called the shotgun approach. You're going to make your best general engineering resume you possibly can, and you're going to find all the online applications that you possibly can, and you are just going to submit it one after another after another. I wouldn't even recommend making a cover page, but just sending all the applications out all at once and sending as much as possible. Set a goal for yourself, maybe 25 different applications every single day, and just get it done within a couple of maybe an hour, maybe 30 minutes. Set a time limit for yourself and do nothing specific for that job except send your application out. Not only does this mediate the amount of time you're spending on submitting a job application that might not even be looked at, but you're also making sure that even if you have a 1% chance of being contacted by a company, you've applied to enough companies to get at least a couple of different responses. Now that's the shotgun approach. Next, we're going to talk about a couple of different avenues people usually get their jobs from. The biggest, and I mean the absolute biggest and best way you are ever going to get your foot through the door and get an interview at a job is through referrals. Do you have a network of people that work at different tech companies? Do you have maybe an uncle that works at Rogers or an aunt that works at TELUS? Reach out to them and ask them to pass your resume on to recruiters. I know from firsthand experience how much recruiters actually value resumes coming in from other engineers that are already part of the company rather than through an online application. You already have a sort of merit with them. You have rapport with them already because you're coming from a trusted member of the company itself. So make sure you use your network, anyone that you might know. Don't be afraid to just contact them and see if they would do the honor of submitting your resume for you, passing it on to HR, and I guarantee you'll have a way higher success rate with landing interviews than just applying online. Now let's say you have no network at all. You have no way of giving your resume to somebody else so they can pass on to HR. The next best thing is to create your own network. Now one of the best ways to do this is through the LinkedIn trick. I know a lot of you have probably heard about the LinkedIn trick a lot, and a lot of you probably think what you do is you just go on LinkedIn, you find recruiters from different companies, and you sort of just send them the same spam email template, hoping that they take your resume in and finding that magically you're the right one for the job and getting you an interview. Now, if that's something you've been doing, I want you to stop right there. That is not something you should be doing. I can speak from personal experience. When I put out my LinkedIn post for The Forge, I got a ton of people just sending the same template email to me or message to me on LinkedIn over and over again about how they are proficient in this language and this language. Please let me know if you have a job for me. That is not what you want to do. That feels like you put no effort into it. It feels like you're very desperate for a job, really needy, and you took no effort to actually understanding the other person that you're talking to. That is not what I'm talking about. The way I like to do it is reaching out to them to learn more about their company. So this splits into two different parts. Number one is for engineers and number two is for recruiters. Believe it or not, finding a job you're actually a good fit for culture-wise is just as important as finding a job in general. You don't want to land a job if it's not the right job for you. I can't tell you how many people I know were desperate enough to get a job that they just accepted the first offer that came along without actually learning about the company beforehand. Once they got to that job, they realized they really don't want to be working there. Needless to say, they ended up quitting, and just like that, they were back searching for another job. What I like to do is I like to reach out to engineers that maybe came from my school, that are at companies that I'm interested at, and say, hey, listen, I saw that you also went to, Ryerson University, for example, and that you landed a job at whatever the company's name is. I've heard a lot of great things about the companies, and I've always wanted to learn a bit more about it. Would I be able to maybe call you and have a 15-minute conversation about what it's like working there? Or could we grab coffee downtown sometime next week, for a 15-minute meeting, just so I can understand your journey and your path and what it's like to work at that company? When you start off with something like that, it doesn't feel like you're just some job-hungry student that will do anything and message anyone to get a job. It feels like you're actually reaching out to them because you want to learn more about them, and that's exactly true. I encourage everyone to be extremely genuine when you reach out to other people. Show some empathy. Show that you're actually interested in the other person. You could actually learn a lot just from sitting down and talking to other people and learning about their story as well, and I highly encourage you all to do that. Now, let's talk about recruiters. Recruiters might be a bit difficult because you can't exactly ask recruiters what it's like to be an engineer at the company because they wouldn't have experience in that. But what you can do is learn more about the company from them and learn more about the roles that they have open. Simply messaging a recruiter with a very brief and easy to understand email saying something like, hey, I found your profile on LinkedIn. I've always wanted to work in this company, and I was wondering if I could learn a bit more about it. Would you be open to maybe setting up a 15-minute call so I could talk to you about what it's like to work at the company, or the perks and benefits that you guys have, and your mission statements and your culture? Now, that's a really good opener because it shows you're not just interested in getting any job that's open, but you actually care about the company you work at, you care about the culture, and you actually want to contribute value to the company itself. So what I would do to find these recruiters and engineers on LinkedIn is simply come to the search bar and pick a company that you're interested in as well as the role you're trying to face. So let's say, for example, we want to find a recruiter at Google. So we can type in recruiter, Google, and we can see that we automatically have a bunch of different results for people that are around our area. For example, let's take a look at Carrie's profile, who is a college recruiter at Google, and she's in the Kitchener campus. We can click here, we can see she has a lot of different experience in terms of recruitment, and she's been at Google for quite a bit of time. Now, what we can do is we can copy her name and go to this cool little tool called hunter.io. We can click the Finder button, and over here, all we have to do is type in the person's name as well as the company that they work for. And more often than not, it will try and find their email based on the information they have. So it doesn't have a direct email on contact, but its best guess for an email would be this. Once we have what looks to be their email, we can hop over to Gmail, type in their email address, and create something very easy to read and respond to. In terms of an email. Remember, we don't want to just bombard them with, hi, my name is Anthony and I know this, that, I do this, and that. We want to make it feel personal. We want to make it feel like we wrote it to them specifically, and we want to give them a very clear call to action that they can respond with. So I would say something like, hey, Carrie, quick question. Oh, let me just fix that there. So for the email body, I found something like this works the best. Hey Carrie, I saw your profile from LinkedIn and I noticed you're a college recruiter at Google. I just graduated from computer engineering at Ryerson University myself, and I've heard really great things about being a developer at Google. I know it's a long shot, but would I be able to ask you some brief questions just to learn more about your journey and what working at Google is like? Let me know. Warm regards, Anthony. So obviously, with a big company like Google, it might not work that great because these people are probably getting contacted left, right, and center. But with smaller companies, this actually works pretty amazingly. The idea is you want something very brief, very easy to read, and a very clear call to action that they can respond with. For example, would I be able to ask you some brief questions? For smaller companies, I would encourage you to write something like, would I be able to talk to you over the phone and ask you some questions in a brief 15-minute phone call? If the company's local, maybe saying something like, would I be able to treat you to coffee sometime next week for 15 minutes? This is good because it feels personal. It feels like you're actually just genuinely trying to learn more about the company and whether or not you would be a good fit there, and it really is way better than applying online. Now, I want to ask everyone, I know you just saw a great example of it here, but please do not reach out to the same person I reached out to. Now, the next method of applying is a bit unorthodox, but it's actually how I landed my first job in Silicon Valley, and that is hackathons. Now, hackathons have been all the rage in the past 3 years. Everyone's been going to them, and it's gotten pretty popular. Now, in the Forge resources below, you're going to be able to find a couple of links I've gotten for you that can show you when upcoming hackathons are. The reason hackathons are so important is because companies literally go there to recruit. Have you ever wondered where the schools get the money to sort of host these hackathons? Not all of it comes from the school themselves. A lot of it comes from sponsoring companies. And what do the sponsoring companies do? They go there with recruiters and they take resumes. Now, a lot of people are always looking to hire from hackathons. All the companies that sponsor a hackathon are there because they want to hire, most of the time, engineers for internships and full-time opportunities. What I did when I went to one of my first hackathons was I printed out around 20 resumes, and every single time I found a recruiter for a company, when I was circling the sponsorship desks getting all that free stuff, I literally just handed every single one of them my resume, and I was like, yeah, I would love to connect with you. Can I also get your email? One thing led to another. I got around from one hackathon from YHacks, which is Yale University's hackathon. From that single hackathon, I ended up getting over 5 online coding tests, and that actually led me to getting my job. So don't discount hackathons, go to them at all costs. I'm not saying that you should skip class and you should skip everything you're doing to get to a single hackathon and that you're guaranteed to get a job, but what I'm saying is a lot of companies are there for the same reason that students go there, to help students find jobs. Take advantage of the network you can make there. It's also great for meeting other engineers, being able to collaborate and join more communities, and finding people that are around your level. So take advantage of hackathons, they are amazing. The last thing I want to talk about is the mindset that you should have. One of the biggest reasons I see a lot of people that I graduated not getting jobs is because they don't think they're good enough to get the job in the first place. I remember when Google was recruiting for my university, I must have told over 50 people to submit their resume. And out of those 50 people, only around 10 people did. Out of the 10, 9 of them got an online interview. The other 40 wouldn't have never known if they would have gotten the online interview because they never even tried. A lot of people have this conception in their mind that they're not good enough to get a job at one of the top companies, but you never know unless you try. And even if you try and you fail, you'll understand what they're looking for better. That way you can better prepare yourself for the next time. I remember my first interview with Amazon went absolutely terrible. I bombed the interview, and after that interview, that's what gave me the motivation to start practicing. That's what gave me the motivation to start going out of my way to make sure I was preparing myself for the next interview I got. And that's when I got my next interview, and I absolutely killed it. You never know if you don't put yourself out there, so don't be afraid to apply and never think that you're not good enough. There's literally nothing to lose by submitting your application to every company that comes your way. So I hope that was helpful, guys. If you like this tutorial Thursday, feel free to send me an email. Let me know what was good, what wasn't, anthony@theforge.ca. And also, just a reminder, this Saturday we are having a Q&A session with an ex-Google machine learning engineer. So make sure you ask your questions. I'm going to resend some reminders out in emails this week. But thanks a lot for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial Thursday. If you have any questions, email them to me, ask in the Discord, ask in the Facebook group. We will be there to help you. Take it easy, guys.